Book 1, The Lost, Chapter 1, Ash and Bone. The Ash Wilds were a place where men went to die, a graveyard of rust and rot, where the sky wept poison and the earth groaned beneath the weight of decay. The air itself was a curse, clinging to flesh like oil, filling the lungs with filth, turning the weak into coughing, wheezing husks. The land was broken, cracked, and lifeless, and yet life still festered, clinging, gasping, surviving. This was where Roark was born. The first taste on his tongue, the first breath in his lungs, was ash. He hated this place. Even as a child, he knew he was different, special. The others, his parents, the sludge farmers who tilled the poisoned earth, had no dreams, no fire, no purpose. They were nothing, and Roark was not like them. Even before he knew the word, he saw visions of his own legend. He did not dream of comfort, nor of family, nor of safety. He dreamed of power, of standing atop a mountain of corpses, his name whispered in fear, his legend carved into the bones of lesser men. From the moment he could think, Roark knew he was destined for more. He learned at a young age that greatness was not given or earned, it was taken. A lesson he would never forget. The raiders came at sundown, a small scouting party. At first, they were just shadows on the horizon, black figures mounted on smoke-belching ash bikes, little more than blurred shapes in the heat shimmer. Then came the hum of their engines, the distant whoop of savage voices, the clang of metal on metal as they banged their weapons against their armor. They were coming for blood. Roark's father saw them first. He froze, gnarled hands gripping his tool, knuckles white, eyes wide and glassy with terror. His mother whimpered a soft, pathetic noise and clutched Roark's arm with trembling fingers. "Go inside! Hide!" Both his parents stood outside at the open door. His father's breath came ragged, his sweat-streaked face twisted in panic as he fumbled with the latch, muttering prayers to the Emperor. Then he turned to his wife. "We'll tell them we have nothing. We'll beg if we have to. If we let them take what little we have, maybe they'll leave us be." Beg. The word curdled in Roark's gut like rotten meat. Beg, beg. Disgusting, he thought to himself. Roark saw the sheer, naked terror in his father's face, the desperate, pitiful way his hands shook, and he knew, for certain in that moment, he did not love this man. His mother clutched at his father's arm, sobbing now. "We have to hide, please, please, we can't be out here when they come." Roark reacted at the opportunity before he could think. He slammed the door shut on his parents, bolted it. His father's head snapped toward him, confusion turning to horror. "Son, open the door. Now." He didn't. He wouldn't. His father pounded on the door, pleading with Roark, but Roark ignored him. Their life was not living. This was a mercy, a sad end to a pathetic existence. "Open the Emperor damned door," yelled his father. Then the first gunshot rang out. His mother screamed, a shrieking broken wail that would have shattered glass if there had been any left in this ruin they called a home. Then came the second shot. The pounding on the door ceased. His father didn't cry out. He didn't scream. He just slumped. The weight against the door grew heavier, and then it slid away. Blood pooled under the door, forcing its way into the shack. Roark ran and hid. His mother's sobs turned to whimpers. "Please, Roark, please." Then the door burst open. He heard his mother being dragged into the house, kicking and screaming. Roark didn't watch, but he heard the brutal laughter, the crunch of boots on the blood-slicked floor, the way his mother's screams turned to choked, wet gurgles. And then, finally, silence. Roark sat in the shadows behind the hearth, fingers wrapped tight around the grip of an old las pistol, his father's only real possession of worth. His father had never fired it, never even cleaned it. It had sat collecting dust beneath the floorboards, a relic from a man too cowardly to wield it. Roark would not be a coward. Roark listened. He counted their numbers, the weight of their steps, the sound of metal scraping against metal. The raiders moved through the house. They muttered curses at the filth, at the emptiness. One of them spat in disgust. What a waste! They took what little there was, ransacking the home he had always hated, their pockets growing a little heavier with the same worthless scraps his parents had spent their worthless lives collecting. But Roark didn't care about any of it. He was counting shots, waiting for them to let down their guard. 3 shots, 4 raiders. Not yet, not yet, he whispered to himself. When the last scavenger turned his back, Roark made his move. Now! Roark rose from the darkness and fired. The first shot hit the lead raider clean in the head, his skull bursting in a flash of vaporized blood and bone. The second missed. The third hit another, low in the gut, and the raider staggered back, gasping, clutching at the smoking hole in his stomach. Roark surged forward, grabbing a rusty knife from the table, and drove it deep into the wounded man's chest, piercing his lung. He twisted, feeling the hot spray of blood across his face, the raider's breath hitching as he tried, and failed to scream. 2 down. 2 still to go. The remaining raiders turned on him, shocked and enraged, weapons drawn. Roark ran. He vaulted over the corpses, crashing through the ruined doorframe, feet pounding against cracked dirt. The howl of rage behind him spurred him forward. He lured them outside into the ash-choked night, the landscape nothing but jagged ruin and skeletal trees. He knew this land, knew the places to hide, the ground that gave way underfoot, the spots where the sludge ran deep enough to drown a man. He led them into the trap like a natural-born predator. The first raider caught up fast, close enough that Roark could hear his snarling breath. The raider swung wildly. Roark felt the blade whistle past his ear, ducked low, veered left, leading the raider exactly where he wanted. The ground beneath them shifted. Roark jumped clear, but the raider's foot sank into the black sludge. The man cursed, struggling, but the ash wilds did not give second chances. The more he fought, the deeper the sludge dragged him down. Roark watched, waiting. The raider locked eyes with him, begging, "Help me, Emperor's blood, help me!" Roark tilted his head, then he smirked and watched him drown. Bubbles rose from the tar. Then there was nothing. The last raider was still coming. This wasn't over yet, he needed to run. Roark could hear the boots, the curses, the rage. He ran faster, but this one was bigger, stronger, more experienced. He ran Roark down, sent him sprawling into the mud and sludge. The raider glared at Roark, knife raised, breath heavy. "You're going to die slow for what you did to my brothers," he screamed at Roark. But Roark didn't beg, didn't flinch. He just waited, eyes locked with the raiders. He waited for the raider to get close enough to underestimate him. Then, once close enough, with his guard lowered in security, Roark drove the same rusty knife into his throat. The raider's eyes went wide, mouth moving soundlessly as he staggered back, gurgling, drowning in his own blood. Roark held on, twisting the knife until the light in the man's eyes faded. Once the dust settled and the adrenaline subsided, Roark sat there covered in blood and silence. And then, at last, he smiled. Maybe for the first time. It wasn't the thrill of revenge. It wasn't satisfaction or grief or rage. It was the simple, undeniable truth of power. His parents had died for nothing. These raiders had died for something. For him, for his future. He looted their corpses without hesitation, taking credits, gear, and blood-streaked currency. He cleaned himself in the same sludge that had drowned the first raider, masking the scent of death before heading to the nearest trade post. With stolen coins and cold, dead eyes, he bought passage to the Hive City. As the transport rumbled forward, the gates of the Acropolis Hive loomed in the distance, a monstrous towering thing of rusted steel and flickering lumens. It was ugly, it was rotten, it was hope, and it was only the beginning.